Hi, everyone. I'm Sandra Levy, Senior Editor of Drugstore News. Today, we have Dave Wendland, Vice President of Strategic Relations at HRG, who is an expert on the consumer packaged goods industry. Thank you for joining us, Dave.
Absolutely, Sandy. Great to see you again. Thank you for the opportunity to share some ideas.
Oh, it's our pleasure, of course. We're really excited to speak with you. So let's get started right away. You've often said that OTC manufacturers are being more intentional with new product introductions. In which categories are you seeing this trend? And can you provide some examples?
I can certainly do that. And I want to just take one giant step back, if I may, and just characterize new items in general, which have always been the lifeblood of the OTC industry. And for that matter, most CPG industries. There was a slowdown, a dramatic slowdown in new product introductions during the pandemic. And it's really kind of a dichotomy because the consumers are really looking for new information, new trends, new products at shelf. And the supply chain was disrupted, and manufacturers really put a halt to much of their innovation during that time frame. So, with that in mind, I think manufacturers are beginning to evolve themselves, evolve their portfolios in a way that are really targeting consumer demand. There was a time, and Sandy, you and I both know this, where there was an explosion of portfolio expansion, line extensions that brought out flavors and forms and sizes, and the shelf space just became massive. When I think of intentionality, it's my belief that manufacturers have recognized that consumers prefer certain factors, and they're weighing in on these. And factors such as sustainability, natural, fewer ingredients, maybe plant-based colorings and flavorings, and really authentic differentiation. And I have to now back up again and say my views are less informed than my team upstairs, who our team of product analysts and category analysts, it's their job to review trends, assess new items as they're launched, and analyze mountains of data. However, I have seen some categories that support total well-being and continued innovation. And specifically, I would suggest areas such as stress, anxiety, sleep, general relaxation, immunity continue to perform well. And additionally, consumers have embraced self-care and it's ignited growth in other areas such as preventive health and overall well-being. Reformulations of previous products, combination products, new delivery forms are offering consumers choices at shelf.
Wow, these are definitely interesting times. Consumer choice, very important. So, can you say what types of innovations are you seeing in terms of formulations and ingredients these days?
When I think about kind of new healthcare products in particular, I'd cite both Haleon with their introduction of Aleve X, which was a proven internal pain relief product with Aleve, and now a topical pain relief product uh, under the Aleve brand name. Kenvue's launch of Motrin Dual Action and Tylenol Precise for pain relieving cream are two other good examples of innovation that brought in new formulations and new ingredients to address different needs. Stepping a little bit out of OTC medicine, I'm bullish on the self-care and self-diagnostics category. I anticipate seeing a number of manufacturers cater to this rising consumer demand for convenient, rapid diagnostics at their fingertips. One such example is a soon to be available diagnostic kit that tests for COVID, influenza A and B with a single test. Self-test products in areas such as colon disease, urinary tract infection, cholesterol, among many others, will continue to emerge.
Wow, these are fascinating times.
They are. And when I think about reformulation, I really would be remiss if I didn't speak to phenylephrine and PE. I anticipate reformulations. I don't have that foresight right now or the knowledge to share, but I would say in the coming year, we're going to see manufacturers lean into that ingredient and probably extend beyond traditional categories or traditional ingredient base to attract and maybe offset some of the concern that was raised. And again, the concern that was raised by the FDA was not one of safety. It was one of efficacy and some new approaches to testing that product. Finally, I do want to comment on where I think manufacturers are beginning to see some really great energy, and that is extending their legacy or their traditional brand across different categories. And the product I manufacture, I'll cite there, will be the Vicks product line and brand. A good example is when they extended the Vicks brand into non-medicated nasal inhalers and patches. A very departure from the traditional ingredient base they had, but attracted new shoppers to the brand, as well as their expansion now into categories such as immunity and, of course, their ZzzQuil brand in the sleep category.
Oh, excellent. That's so interesting. So, how are OTC manufacturers responding to price conscious consumers? We know that they're very concerned about inflation, high prices on the store shelves. And what other ways have their psyche changed that you've seen that you can speak about?
Again, this is in the news, Sandy. This is last week's State of the Union was certainly no exception, as President Biden himself commented on shrinkflation. I think he held up a Snickers bar or a bag of chips. We've seen that in our own industry. We have seen manufacturers reduce the quantity or the sizes of their products in order to keep a price point at a certain level so that consumers would find it still available within their budget. So I think characterized as shrinkflation, certainly, but it is addressing that cost-conscious shopper. Another reality is that manufacturers have recognized the appeal of private label perhaps more prevalent than ever before. And that's not just because of pandemic or just because of inflation. That too was precipitated by supply chain concerns. Sometimes the brand wasn't available, so the consumers retried or reintroduced themselves to private label. Manufacturers recognize that that coexists. We've seen some manufacturers actually lean into it to say, well, maybe I should be a private label manufacturer in addition to a brand manufacturer, still have a premium brand and maybe a private label. So manufacturers are looking at different ways. And then the last is manufacturers have become probably more hyper personalized with their marketing. And retail media networks and the advent of loyalty programs and the ability to really say, this is a product that Sandy has purchased in the past that I will reward her for purchasing again, is another way of addressing that cost consciousness that consumers have today. Finally, I'd say there's movement. It's maybe a little slower in the OTC category, but refillable packaging, sustainable solutions is another way that manufacturers are addressing the concern of cost containment on the manufacturing side and reduced expense, if you will, out of a consumer's budget. So we've seen it primarily in personal care categories such as shampoo, skincare, certainly some beauty products. In my opinion, the outlook for that trend seems pretty promising.
So, we have a new reality, I see.
I think is a new normal, Sandy. I personally, and I should be using it more so on a skincare lotion or something of that nature, or whatever toothpaste product I may want to use. There are refillable solutions. I am guilty of replenishing it in the old-fashioned way because old habits are hard to break.
Well, that's true. So, my last question. So, what is, you touched upon it a little bit. What does the future look like for OTC manufacturers? And what trends should they be watching and, starting to listen to so that they can jump on that bandwagon?
It's a great question. And it's a question that I wish I had the crystal ball in front of me that I could examine and look into. And people would flock to me to say, what is it, Dave, that you think are the biggest trends? Unfortunately, I don't have that crystal ball, but I do have a couple of ideas that I think are reshaping the industry and the trends that are beginning to emerge. Let me speak to a couple on the product category side and maybe product expectation. And then I do want to comment on a couple of things that are a little less categoric and a little more about just general trends. Let me talk maybe about the mental health and well-being categories. I mentioned before that there's been some growth in those categories. I don't see that slowing down. In fact, I see the emergence of a new category, more focused on mental health and products such as the stress products, the anxiety products, the sleep products all fit very well in there, but so do other innovative products that might find themselves into that characterization of mental health. There's a lot of focus on that right now, and I believe it is a trend worth watching. A second, because I've been in the industry for 32 years, I'm one of the group within this, which I call healthy aging. We all want to age healthful. Couple areas, longevity, very much in the news right now, very much in vogue right now. Appearance, whether it's anti-age, whether it's products for hearing or vision, all of those are poised for more innovation and certainly the trend. And then nutrition, general well-being. Again, I want to stay healthy. I want to look better. I want to live longer. So that's a big category. And lastly, I stressed it earlier, I think self-diagnostics. And I characterize that maybe a little differently than a traditional manufacture of a COVID test kit just to get the result. I believe the future is going to be test and treat. What do I do with this information? How do I combine a test with the right product in order to treat whatever it is that's been revealed as part of that diagnostic? That has been something I've had on my radar screen for quite some time. And I believe the consumers have become quite familiar with swabbing their nose or doing some other type of a test strip in order to self-diagnose. So that's an area that I believe will continue to emerge.
These areas sound so exciting because it looks like people are very involved in self-care and health, and that it's only going to continue to go forward.
I've been an advocate for self-care, an advocate for self-awareness and informed shopping choices. And today's society, there's really the shopper may be shopping for themselves to stay well, but they're likely 1 in 4 or better are caring for an aging adult now in their own home. So they're looking for the care for themselves to care for others, and they're looking to ensure that that individual they're caring for is comfortable and well secured in their condition. Looking beyond categories, there are a couple things that I would be again remiss that I didn't talk about. Any interview I've had in the last 9 months, I've had to use the word artificial intelligence. It really becomes a requirement anymore that we consider AI. Now, last year, Coca-Cola used artificial intelligence to create a new flavor called Y3000. I didn't try it. I don't know if you did.
Yeah.
The reviews were not good. The artificial intelligence may have missed the mark on this first slot. I would anticipate, though, that Coca-Cola and every other CPG manufacturer, OTC medicine manufacturers included, are looking at AI as a means to accelerate product development, as a means to accelerate consumer feedback, as a means to innovate what they've traditionally done, either in research, product development, assessment of demand. AI is real. AI has a place, and I believe it does require some human interaction to make it most valuable. Second would be sustainability and eco-friendly packaging. I commented before about refillables. Manufacturers are making efforts to reduce their carbon footprints. They're using recycled materials. They're minimizing their packaging. They're looking at this as a way of not only social consciousness, but really catering to the population at large that says, I want to do my part. And I think that's going to continue. Last, there's been a lot of concern about microplastics, and they are, I sit here with my water bottle, wondering how many microplastics I'm consuming. Manufacturers are making concerted efforts to reduce their use of plastic in the OTC medicine bottles, other innovative approaches of delivering product that doesn't put so much reliance on plastics and the resulting microplastics. So that is another trend. And I lied. I said that was the last one. There's one more that will continue to be in the news, and that is mergers and acquisitions. It's a trend that isn't going away anytime soon. It's across many industries. And our industry, consumer healthcare, has been at the cross hairs of mergers and acquisitions for years. I think as manufacturers, back to your root question about intentionality, as manufacturers begin to focus on what brands they want to support, what categories they want to quote unquote own, and what consumers they want to appeal to, they're going to need to thin the herd. They're going to have to look at their brands across all of their portfolio and divest some of them. And there are some very strong small and medium-sized companies and new to market companies that would love a heritage brand to reformulate, reintroduce, and build. In fact, in today's Inside Beauty, one of our corporate communications individuals, Megan Moyer, authored an article on the reemergence of the Prell brand. Now, I know that's a hair care product. It's a product that going back to when I was a kid, my sisters used Prell shampoo. That was their go-to. It's reemerging and it's coming out with a new formulation, new extensions, new consumer appeal. And that was because of a divestiture and an acquisition of an old brand. So I think that's going to continue to evolve portfolios. And there are so many more on this crystal ball that I would love to speak to. That gets us started in this direction of what's on my mind.
That is so exciting. I really appreciate you spending so much time providing these insights. And I think you do have a crystal ball that we can all look into, and hopefully you can come back and share some more insights with us.
I appreciate the opportunity, Sandy. Thank you to Drugstore News. Thank you to you for this opportunity. And I will keep my watchful eye on what's going on in this market. I've been doing it for 3 decades. I don't plan on slowing down.
Terrific. We look forward to speaking with you again. Thank you again.